Hey guys, this is Career Shift Stories PH and I'm your host, Hazel Season. For today's episode, I will be also your guest, so you'll get to hear my career shift story. So, a little background about myself. I'm actually an accountancy graduate who was reviewing for her board exam for a whole year and was supposed to take her board exam until the COVID pandemic happened. So that resulted to multiple cancellations of future board exams, which actually gave me some time to think about my life direction. And that actually led me to becoming a life purpose coach. So when I made this decision, when I made this career shift, of course, the people around me would be asking me questions such as, why did you change your career? Why did you change your path? I mean, sayang naman yung 4 to 5 years na pinag-aralan mo, sayang naman yung 4 to 5 years na effort mo. I mean, you're actually good in accounting, so why did you end up leaving it and going for a whole different career? And my simple and somehow deep answer to that is, it's because you're not guaranteed to be alive by tomorrow, by next week, by next month, by next year. So this is a realization that I got during the COVID pandemic, where there was a lot of deaths happening, a lot of viruses, a lot of commotions. So there was this fear of dying. And I got to actually think that if I were to continue down the path of accountancy, I know deep down that I would not feel fulfilled, and that if somehow I end up dying sooner and I'm already on my deathbed, would I be able to tell myself that I was living a fulfilling life? So my reaction to that, to other people saying to me that by not continuing accountancy, that I wasted 4 to 5 years of knowledge and skills in that field, my reaction to that is, I think it's more of a ways to continue down a path that you know it no longer fits you. That I think it's more of a ways to continue down a path just for the sake that you started it and that you invested 4 to 5 years in it. I think it's more of a ways to not give yourself that chance to try another path that would give you more fulfillment and more meaning in life. So I actually ended up taking accountancy as a course because I'm actually really into business. I'm really into generating ideas and somehow thinking of ways to turn that into a business, which eventually results into cash flow. And because of cash flow, I really wanted to understand how cash flow works. And coincidentally, I realized that accountancy is actually the language of business. So looking back, I actually just chose accountancy as a course because I just wanted the knowledge of accountancy and not necessarily the CPA title, which I just learned when I enrolled that is actually one of the most prestigious titles. But looking back, it's not exactly the reason why I enrolled in that course. If I had the ability to turn back time, would I still take accountancy as a course? My answer to that is probably no. Because I realized that of all the things that I've learned in accountancy, I would say that about 35% are the things that I am able to use in day-to-day life or in business. So if I were to turn back time, I would probably choose marketing as a course, or probably business management or business administration. So the reason why is the 35% that I mentioned is actually covered in marketing, in business administration or business management. So I would probably get a lot more skills with that I can use today. So yeah. So how did I decide that it's time to move on to another career? actually, this was something I decided during the COVID pandemic, and it actually, since there were multiple cancellations of the CPA accountancy board exam, so it gave me a lot of time to actually think on whether this is something I actually want, or is this something that I will be using for the long term. So it just so happened that during the COVID pandemic, where a lot of people were dying, a lot of people were somehow getting the virus, my father actually passed away. So during that time, it made me realize that what if I continued down this path of being an accountancy graduate, of continuing to work as an accountant? If I were to die sooner and I continued to live the way that I lived, would I still be able to tell myself that I lived a happy, fulfilling, and meaningful life? So those questions were actually the turning points that caused me to rethink my life's direction and actually leave accountancy and shift to another career, such as being a coach. Technically, being a coach is not the whole thing that I'm doing. I'm actually a content creator, a writer, a video editor, and the reason why I'm doing a lot of these things is because I want to level up myself so that I can serve a lot more people. And by serving, I mean I want to inspire a lot more people. I want to guide a lot more people with the content that I create. I want them to be inspired to find their passions and pursue their passions so that they're able to live a more meaningful and fulfilling life. I actually learned a lot of things, but if I were to choose only one, it would probably be this. It's that you are not bound by your past self, you're not bound by your past experiences, you're not bound to stay who you are in the past. You are allowed to change and you are allowed to grow. And sometimes growing means that you let go of the past things that you had in the past and embrace the many possibilities that the future has to offer. My advice would probably be take the time to get to know yourself more. Because a lot of people don't actually know themselves enough. And because of that, we tend to listen to other people's voices, other people's opinions. And by doing that, you somehow end up taking up other people's definition of success without really knowing our own. And the result of that is we end up living a life that is designed by others and not ourselves. And that's pretty much one of the reasons why you become miserable, one of the reasons why you feel lost, you struggle to find direction. So as a recap, I advise those people who are feeling lost to please take the time to know yourself better. What are your values? What are your principles? And what are the things that are important for you? Alright guys, so that wraps up today's episode. I hope that you learned a lot with my story. And if you did, please comment down below what you have learned. So, as we end today's episode, this is Career Shift Stories PH, and I'm your host, Hazel Season, saying that you can find your life's direction by finding yourself. See you again in the next episode. Bye!